The equator. It's a ribbon of sunlight warming the middle of our Earth. A magical world of amazing creatures. And joyful people. An ancient paradise. An enduring mystery, waiting to be explored. When we speak of the equator, we think of jungles, but we should imagine water. More than 80% of the 40,000-kilometer-long equator lies on the Atlantic, Pacific, and Indian Oceans. Much of the rest crosses lakes or rivers, like the mighty Amazon. The hot waters of the equatorial regions are a cauldron of extraordinary creatures. Most people will never see them, though we all impact them, and a small group of people is working to conserve them. Some of the most beautiful places on the equator are also the most fragile. As the equator gets hotter and the seas rise, island regions like Kiribati and Galapagos have no buffers to protect them. The same is true with the Maldives. The Maldives is an island nation in the Indian Ocean. It sits on 26 coral atolls growing on submerged mountains. It's a tourist paradise where 500,000 citizens greet 600,000 visitors each year. But for locals, there are dangerous shadows over the Maldives. The corals it sits on are dying. And the ocean is rising, threatening to drown the nation. Yamila Krusk and her husband Torsten are German divers dedicated to saving the corals. They call themselves coral doctors.
When I got the first chance to go down and have a look, I was speechless.
Coral supports the Maldives' stunning diversity of marine life.
Coral itself is like a skeletal structure, and within that live tiny microalgae called zooxanthellae. And they work with the coral, they give coral food, in return the coral gives them a habitat. So they have a good relationship, they work together. The zooxanthellae will catch the food, process it through this deposit below as like a very thin layer of limestone. The corals build up and up like this. So corals can grow up to about 15 centimeters a year.
Marine biologist Emily Armstrong-Smith works with the coral doctors.
Living here, the Maldives is so unique in terms of the marine life it can offer. We can travel an hour in each direction from here and see whale, shark, manta, dolphins every day, turtles every day, everything like this. And every reef we go to, there's something unique we can find. Right now, I can't imagine any kind of paradise more than this, yeah.
Around the equator, warming water made worse by El Niño events endanger coral and marine diversity. In the Maldives, coral that survive are often damaged by careless boating or tourists. That's where the coral doctors come in. The team gathers bits of coral that have been damaged that will be used to repair the reefs.
We garden underwater.
We
We take little broken branches from the reef.
Coral is dying in the global ocean because airborne carbon dioxide heats the water and makes it acidic. With less calcium in them, the corals become more brittle. The coral doctors fight back with tricks taken from gardening, biology, and home renovation. New recruits are trained to take broken fragments and rebuild coral trees.
Guys, as you can see here in the different box, we have different type of coral. Okay, so you can see from this first box, for example, branching coral. Okay, so here we have Pusillopora. Okay, they normally are like these. Okay, and here you have the fragment.
So on the top of these corals, where there's lighter color, this is where new tissue is growing. So we can see on this species as well, the slightly color more blue at the tops, this is new tissue.
New tissue.
So actually, this is really healthy coral. Here, this means new corals are growing all the time. So better to remove all of the dead part, just attach the healthy coral. Okay.
Like this, yeah?
Yeah, like this, perfect. You can check the antenna.
Like this.
Es ist halt irgendwie toll zu sehen, wie die so wachsen können, wie dann
It's great to see how from a broken piece, a new shoot grows. They're very colorful when they're young.
meist auch ganz bunt. Die neuen Triebe sind richtig schön bunt.
The restructured corals are returned to the sea, where they bloom new branches.
Actually, it's quite a quick process. In just 2 weeks or so, we can see some fast-growing corals already completely covered a nail or the frame, starting to attach, and then they start to grow outwards.
The doctors also spread their enthusiasm to the tourists who adore this paradise, but have no idea it's built on coral.
We are here to celebrate a coral landing day.
Gerade bei den chinesischen Gästen
Many of our guests, especially those who can't swim, walk on the corals. If they don't know what they are walking on, it's no surprise that they are destroying the corals.
dass sie sie kaputt machen.
Hi. So, Emily is going.
Und es gibt ganz viele Leute, die gar keine Ahnung haben. Und wenn man denen eine Koralle hinhält,
Many people had no idea about corals. If you give them one, they are excited to turn it around.
faszinierend und das ist ein Tier und ehrlich und
They're fascinated and often say, wow, this is an animal? We thought this was a stone.
wissbegierig und
They are eager to learn more about corals. That's why our work is really important.
With every nail and zip tie, they're rebuilding the matrix that supports the diversity of life in the ocean.
We don't want to create a whole new reef. What we're trying to do is develop our existing reef and help that to recover and recuperate. What I really love is when we start to fill up a frame and we see fish immediately. So sometimes you put the frames in the water, immediately fish are swimming in and out. So this is great because it shows we've been successful in creating a kind of authentic habitat.
Coral habitat is crucial as a nursery for baby fish, supporting the biodiversity that makes the equator the cradle of life. As the ocean changes, that biodiversity is threatened everywhere on the equator. But those who care about life in the sea are undaunted. Every summer, the Pacific Ocean off Colombia becomes a nursery for whales, which always terrified the people here. Villagers thought the creatures were sea monsters. Only recently have they been recognized as hungry, migrating humpbacks and a potential tourist attraction. The change in local attitudes is due to biologist Natalia Botero Costa. Over many years, Natalia has transformed the way people in this fishing village look at whales and themselves.
Every year I come to Coqui. It is an ideal location for the study of the migration of the humpback whale.
Colombia is rich in biodiversity, but decades of war and isolation have left huge gaps in knowledge. Natalia is dedicated to understanding the migration of humpbacks from the Antarctic to Colombia.
All All the tails are different. The equivalent to a whale's tail is a fingerprint.
Digital en los dedos de una persona.
The picture of the tail is so useful because it allows us to tell a story. It lets us know when that whale has been here, if that whale is an occasional visitor, or if it's in transit to a different location.
Tránsito para otra locación.
Tail hit. Dive with tail and trying. It wasn't really a tail hit, but it's trying.
One more time.
Ah, so beautiful. Look at its head. Ah. Yes, let's mark points. It's trying to hit with its tail. It's with another one. It's two of them. Tail.
Oye, no se acerquen a la ballena, porque la echan.
Natalia's work has sparked a tiny and uncontrolled whale-watching market.
Está bien, más abierto, más abierto. No se acerquen.
The recommended distance for viewing in Colombia is 200 meters from the whales, and they were about 10 if we're generous.
Sí, están corriendo mucho.
The house where Natalia stays is run by the village mother.
Hola, Nati. ¿Cómo estás? La conocí, ya estoy con ella. No sé qué está pasando.
Cruz es un imán en la
Cruz is a magnet in the community. She fulfills the role of a mom not only with her guests, her researcher children, but also with a lot of people from the community.
Mi nombre es Cruz Melida Martínez.
My name is Cruz Melida Martinez. I'm from Noki, but I'm living in Coqui now.
Me enamoré con un pelado de acá.
I fell in love with a guy from here, from Coqui. I had a daughter, and here I am.
Y aquí
Happy
estoy,
in Coqui.
Feliz en Coqui.
Sol y lluvia en un sitio como
Sun and rain in a place like Coqui is dynamic.
dinámica.
The conditions out here change in the blink of an eye.
En un abrir y cerrar de ojos.
All that rain drags nutrients and drags sediment from the rivers and forms a very special dynamic in the
Y
ocean.
forma una dinámica bastante especial en el océano.
Cultural change occurs much more slowly. Many here still gather food in traditional ways. But even their relationship with nature is now being transformed.
Checa. Como encimita antes de meterlo.
Una que está y la otra. Cuando uno conecta y oye.
When one connects it and hears the first note, it's emotional.
O sea, es algo muy bonito.
It's something that is very beautiful and that connects me to the whales in terms of research on them. You can basically detect a whale that's around 100 kilometers. And these sounded pretty far. I would guess that they are at 80 kilometers. They are very, very far.
Los cantos son secuencias de sonido bastante elaboradas.
The songs are very elaborate sound
Duran
sequences.
aproximadamente 20
A
minutos.
song session can last approximately 20 minutes.
Pero lo que hace la ballena es que repite esa.
But what the whale does is to repeat the song over and over again.
Pero que ese canto va evolucionando, o sea, va.
But that song keeps evolving, keeps adding sounds and units that stay while others are removed from the song.
Es que es muy curioso, le provoca a uno saber.
It makes one curious on what they're saying or what they want to communicate with that song.
Con ese canto.
As the community becomes educated, people are developing affection for the creatures they used to fear. And the relationships between people themselves are changing.
Mi idea de paraíso es Coquito.
My idea of paradise is Cookie.
De mi familia en este lugar.
They've become my family in this place. It's my second home.
Entonces yo pienso.
I think of Cruz as my Chocón mom and Checa as my Chocón dad.
Chocuano. Y bueno, conozco a muchos de los niños acá.
And I've met the kids over here since they were 4 or 5 years old, and I've seen them grow up to become the youngsters they are today. So it's been a very special process.
In the warm Pacific off the coast of Coquille, Natalia Botero Costa transforms perspectives.
Nosotros, por nuestra profesión y por nuestra pasión, tenemos obviamente una actitud.
Because of our passion and profession, we have a certain attitude and respect to the environment.
De nada sirve si.
But none of that matters if it doesn't transmit to the people, who are the ones that really use and are in charge of the resources.
Cuidar esos recursos.
She hopes that she can turn their curiosity into knowledge about how to protect their slice of paradise on the equator.
Golpe de cola, that's the baby. Ah, mira, 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 mira. Ay, 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 la cola. La ballena. Ajá. Ahí saca.
Much further out into the Pacific, an adventurous group of scientists is working to protect animals who don't live in the sea, but do completely rely on it. The Galapagos Islands are barren outcrops 1,200 kilometers west of Ecuador in the Pacific Ocean. There's not much to sustain life here. Big parts of the islands are volcanic rock where nothing grows. Yet they are rich in exotic species. That's because of the sea. Warm and cold water currents meet here, and their turbulence churns up algae from the bottom that lays on a feast right up the food chain. But occasionally, hot El Niño winds warm the ocean surface. The food conveying currents stop, and everyone goes hungry.
Galapagos is very interesting because it has microclimates. So it's a paradise in itself.
Gustavo Jimenez is a veterinarian who has studied sea life here for 15 years.
You see behind my back all the lava, so it's dry. However, there are important zones like outcrop zones, which are richer than many places in the Pacific.
Conocemos que en Galápagos tenemos un evento natural como es el
We know that in Galapagos we have El Nino, which has come to the islands for thousands of years and has affected the islands in different ways.
El problema del cambio climático es que está
The problem with climate change is that it's affecting these events, and this El Nino event is reaching the islands with greater frequency and strength.
Estamos viendo, por ejemplo, que puede haber mayor
We see that there can be higher temperatures on the ocean surface, which makes the food decrease.
y puede afectar a varias especies. Solo en Galápagos, para mencionar, tenemos
Only in Galapagos, this problem affects penguins, albatross, cormorants, iguanas, sea lions, boobies, etc.
By warming the ocean surface, climate change slows the clash of currents that churn up food from the bottom. When El Niño hits, the phenomena is heightened, and iconic species like the Galapagos penguins starve.
cambio climático está afectando a los eventos naturales.
Climate change is affecting the natural events that happen in Galapagos.
Entonces se observa que, por ejemplo,
We see that the penguin population was high,
cuando vino el fenómeno del
but when El Nino came along, the penguin population decreased dramatically.
cae bruscamente.
A couple of times a year, Gustavo's team checks the health of the penguins on remote Galapagos cliffs. The work is challenging and dangerous.
Bueno, esta área es principalmente una
This area here is mainly where the penguins come to rest.
tenemos gran cantidad
We can find a lot of penguins here.
Entonces nos estamos acá para ver y
So,
conocer la
we come here to study how this species reproduce.
Entonces vamos nido por nido
We go
buscando
nest by nest to see if they are nesting or no.
Entonces, con todas estas amenazas,
With all these threats,
¿cuál de las
it's important to know which threats have increased or decreased,
la mayor
and which is the greatest threat.
dar las recomendaciones necesarias al Parque Nacional?
We can give recommendations to the national park about how we can
de una u
protect the
otra
penguins.
forma al pingüino.
The only way to completely assess the penguin's health is to raid nests hidden in forbidding cliffs.
Es un poco
It's risky.
porque no
You don't know how the sea behaves.
conocemos
You don't know if the rock you're jumping on is safe.
la piedra. No sabes si es
Or an animal with a problem attacks you.
atacar porque
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Sometimes the waves are so big, and they gotta jump to catch the penguins. And if it's raining or cloudy and they have to jump, it's also dangerous.
Yes, there are activities that we do that involve a lot of risk, moderate risk, and others that are medium risks. At first, grab the whole neck, but not too hard because you can strangle it. So once you have it, you can accommodate your hand. And then you can hold it in a better way, where you don't hurt them. I like them. They're birds that are, in a way, you could say, noble and tender. That's mainly why I work with them.
So you have a lot of mixed feelings when you're in the field. So it's not paradise per se, at least in that sense. But as a laboratory of wildlife and environment, it's beautiful. The scientific question of our project, or the central question, is to know the survival of the population, facing the threats I mentioned before. You have to catch them through a long process, 5 years, because it's a long-term project. And with that, we perform analysis regarding their threats.
Half of the island's penguins die off in El Niño events. As the globe gets hotter, those events get worse. The researchers have good reason to fear for the penguins, but the penguins don't know that.
When we are working with them, when we are holding them, we really want to calm them down, but it's very hard to do.
With 20.0.
20.0. 9.2. 23.
check the frequency, temperature, take blood or feather samples for different analysis, pathogens, etc.
Patógenos, no patógenos, etc.
Ahí sí. ¿Vas a sacarle más?
After all this, we also mark them, so we won't recapture them to avoid stress.
Capturar a este individuo para evitar menos estrés.
Well, on my first job with the penguins, I thought that they were way more stressed. Because when we captured them, yes, they are scared, but when we release them, they don't leave right away. They stay and look at you. They are a bit curious too. Maybe they get scared, but at the same time they are curious to know what we do, I think. And if I think that I can protect them or do something, even if it's very little, I think it's my duty as a human, taking into consideration all the damage we are doing as humans. I think this is the least I can do for them in return.
The sentiment of wanting to pay back the natural world for the joy it gives us is common among equatorial biologists. Amphibious creatures on the equator have been hit particularly hard by environmental changes. In Quito, Ecuador, biologist Luis Coloma is trying to save them.
The first time I saw a toad in my childhood, it was like being in paradise, like being in heaven. And every night I dreamed of toads and frogs. They were always part of my life. Another member of the family. Is there a laying? Let me see.
Yes, this laying of eggs is from the dendrobates. They're ready to be taken to the aquarium.
These ones are about to hatch. How pretty.
Yes, I was going to ask you, I think we have too many dendrobates in the same terrarium.
Yes, I think it's better to keep them in couples only, for breeding.
Dr. Coloma has built a rescue center named after the jumbato toad, which was his favorite as a child.
The Humbato Center is a research and conservation lab for amphibians. We currently have 40 species in the center. It's a modern Noah's Ark.
The
situation with amphibians, in general, around the world is desperate. Amphibians have survived on the planet close to 300 to 350 million years. And suddenly, in a short period of time, they started to disappear in front of our eyes. This is humbato. This is an iconic species for the worlds of science, conservation, and the diversity in Ecuador. The last time I saw a humbato in Quito, I was 21 years old. That was the last humbato. The last Atelopus ignescens that was seen in Quito in April 1983. When a species goes extinct, we as humans are losing a part of us. One day, someone named Father Batista called me and said, "Here, I'll send you a picture. Tell me if this is humbato." When I received a photograph, that was a magical moment. It was like seeing a dinosaur. It was impossible.
But to resurrect the species, he would need more than one. Inspired by the hope of reviving the species, Luis Coloma and his assistant journeyed to the Andes looking for another jambato toad.
April last year, we rediscovered the humbato. Of course, in science, there is no such thing as a miracle, but this could equal a resurrection.
Their best bet is some 200 kilometers from Quito in the Angamarca River Valley. In this indigenous region, jambato once flourished and was considered a sign of good luck.
We're here to find tadpoles in the Angamarca River. It's easier for a young frog to adapt to lab conditions. The tadpoles have a sucker on their belly. They use it to hold onto rocks. It helps them avoid being washed away by the current.
Let's go see. Just a little bit higher. All these kids are crazy about frogs. How are you, my friend? Hi, champion.
Hi, David. David, have you found more frogs?
No. No.
Have you searched?
Yes, I haven't found them.
Older people said the black frog is good luck for the world.
It's cold.
It's like searching for a needle in a haystack. Unfortunately, we haven't found any tadpoles at this time. But we hope that once the water flow diminishes in a couple of months, there will be tadpoles in the river.
After a long, cold day in the Equatorial Mountains, the researchers are frustrated. But it turns out they have good luck on their side.
What is the butterfly doing? It was a long day. It was not a long trip, but it felt long.
Hi.
Good evening. I found a little frog. I would like to know if it's what you guys are looking for.
Come in. Show us, please. Can I see it? Here on the table, please.
No, this can't be possible.
Beautiful. This is the frog we were searching for, a young one. Where did you find it?
It wasn't close to the river. It was above, near the road.
The little toad gives biologists hope and provides a herpetology first. Never before has the Jumbato song been documented.
This is the first time the singing of Jumbato is being recorded.
No existe ningún registro del canto de este.
This is crazy.
This is...
I'm thrilled.
Emoción.
In ancient times, the cry of Yambato told Ecuadorian farmers it was time to plant crops ahead of the coming rainy season. Since 1980, Ecuador has lost 28 species of amphibians to extinction. Yambato was thought to be one of them. Its sudden return is the sort of victory that gives the guardians of paradise hope.
The word hambato means crying in the rain. They're the symbol of abundance and fertility, with the perception that something good was on its way.
Tenemos ahora este animal joven de jambato.
We now have this young hambato.
En el laboratorio nosotros queremos tener una población.
In the lab, we want to have a genetically viable population
Producir eventualmente miles de individuos que sean.
in order to reproduce thousands of individuals that can be reintroduced to nature.
Científicos tendemos a ser un poco.
We scientists tend to be a little pessimistic.
Pero también.
But we also have the human dreamer side.
Entonces sueño, si se quiere,
And so I dream of seeing thousands of hambatos
de jambatos caminando nuevamente
roaming again across our moors
en nuestros,
and in our gardens
nuestras casas,
and around our houses.
que vuelvan a ser parte,
That they are part of our family again.
It's a hope shared by all biologists who work with creatures of equatorial waters. Though many of its birds and mammals, fish and frogs are in trouble, the equator is still a region with an incredibly powerful life force. And with that comes an optimistic belief that if we work together, we could see the family of all creatures which began on the equator flourishing once again.